A stray dog finally managed to steal a bone, but instead of eating it right away, he held back. He wanted to take it home to share with his mom. Unexpectedly, he crashed into a passerby, and the delicious treat in his mouth vanished in an instant. If he couldn't find it, he'd go hungry again. As he searched everywhere, he was suddenly drawn to the big chicken drumstick in a woman's hand, salivating uncontrollably. Just then, a training squad marched down the street. Nick spotted the dog at a glance, knew he must be starving, and immediately pulled out a biscuit to throw to him. The dog gobbled it up. But one biscuit was far from enough to fill his stomach, so he mustered up the courage to follow Nick, because he knew, only by sticking with Nick could he escape the hardship of being a stray. But when he swaggered to the camp gate, he was stopped by the guards on duty. Feeling unwelcome, the dog left dejectedly, but he hadn't gone far when he spotted a fence. He quickly crouched down and, by chance, saw Nick training. Overjoyed, he frantically pawed at the ground, finally squeezing through the fence. Then he caught a strong aroma. The cook was making salt and pepper spare ribs. Just as he was about to dig in, he was discovered. The angry cook grabbed a wok and chased after him, scaring him half to death as he fled. In his panic, he knocked a soldier flat on his back. The dog looked up and it was Nick, the one he'd been seeking. Overjoyed, he barked wildly to show his happiness. Unfortunately, the strict instructor heard the commotion and shouted, "Who brought this dog here?" Nick fell silent, afraid of punishment, but the dog understood the instructor's question and stared unblinkingly at Nick. The instructor got the message. Instead of getting angry, he told Nick to take good care of the dog. Then, at the instructor's command, the dog immediately stood at attention. This absurd act made the instructor laugh out loud. From that day on, the dog finally had a home. He wasn't great at much, but he ate the most, and at night, he tried to Nick's bed, only to be unceremoniously chased off. With a ruined look, he had to sleep on the cold floor, but it was still far better than wandering life. At first, his training was a constant source of laughter. When the instructor ordered right turn, he couldn't even tell directions apart. But after just 1 month, he mastered every skill with ease. Whether climbing over net fences or crawling forward, he excelled in every drill. He flawlessly executed every command from the instructor.
Look at him! He has been training alongside you guys, and he drills better than most of you. You could all learn something from him.
Moreover, he became the instructor's right-hand helper. After soldiers finished target practice, he'd march proudly to retrieve the targets and deliver them personally to the instructor for inspection. Seeing how smart the dog had become, Nick never slacked off. Late at night, when all was quiet, he often trained with the dog and gave him a nice name, Stubby. With a name of his own, Stubby was over the moon. But misfortune struck soon after. The next day, the general suddenly visited the camp. When he saw Stubby, he flew into a rage.
This is an army base, not a petting zoo. Whose dog is this?
This time, Nick didn't back down. He stepped forward bravely, admitting Stubby was his dog, then saluted the general sharply. Stubby mimicked the gesture awkwardly. This comical scene amazed the colonel, who praised Stubby as an excellent soldier, and let him stay in the camp as a mascot. Stubby wasn't just skilled in training, he was also a whiz at playing ball. His presence brought endless joy to everyone, but good times didn't last. One day, tragic news arrived at the camp. Due to urgent battles on the African front, all soldiers had to deploy for support, leaving Stubby to guard the camp. It meant they would be separated. Though Nick was heartbroken, he had no choice but to protect their homeland. As Nick packed his luggage, Stubby looked on helplessly. He didn't want to part with Nick, but the general's order was final. Stubby secretly crawled into Nick's backpack, begging to be taken along. Nick knew the mission was life or death, and he couldn't let Stubby risk it. He found the cook, asked him to look after Stubby temporarily, briefed him, then handed Stubby's rope to the cook. Busy with cooking, the cook tied Stubby to a post. Watching Nick's figure fade away, Stubby howled in despair, as if abandoned by the whole world. When the cook wasn't looking, Stubby bit through the rope and chased after the troops. Luckily, the train was just starting. He rushed to the platform, timed his jump, and climbed aboard. He followed Nick to the dock, but 2 soldiers guarded the boarding gate. This time, Stubby didn't charge in. He sneaked around them, slipped into a cargo box, and was hoisted onto the ship by a crane. Before he could enter the cabin, his rope got tangled around a pipe. He inched along the wall carefully. The captain, careless as ever, didn't notice the 2-meter-tall Stubby, but finding Nick in the vast cabin was like looking for a needle in a haystack. Stubby used his best skill, a thorough search. Finally, he caught a familiar scent, Nick's unique smell. Overjoyed, he jumped onto the bed and showered Nick with licks.
Stubby? How'd you get here? Where did you come from? How did you get here? What are we going to do with you? We'll have to hide you. Somehow.
To avoid discovery, Nick hid Stubby in his backpack and snuck him to the deck. But at the exit, they bumped into the army commander head-on.
Who in the... What the devil is going on here?
Stubby quickly cowered, then saluted the commander to apologize, as if willing to accept any punishment. The commander saluted back, praised Stubby for his honesty and bravery, ordered the soldiers to give him a dog tag, and let him join the fight as a hero.